Hey everyone, Bonnie Violet here, trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drive artist, and digital chaplain. And I'm just taking a moment to try something new. I'm going to try to let folks know a little bit about what's going on. In part, I'm doing this for my Patreon. My Patreon is a place where people can either for free or pay members can keep up to date and help support the work that I'm doing, whether it's the Dragon Spirituality Summit that's coming up later this year, or the Trans March, which is also coming up later this year, the work with Trans Show Boise, amongst a number of other things. Patreon is just a way that people can support me. We're getting into Gay Pride Month. And when you're gay for pay, as in a lot of the work that I do is around my queerness. Pride Month is a busy month. I wanted to let folks know of some things that are coming up and to anticipate and things you might want to engage with or just follow to learn more about. One of my little bucket list things was to be on CityCast Boise with Lindsay Van Allen. I love her work. You might have seen her on TikTok as Socialistically Awkward. She covers political insanity and stupidity, especially in Idaho. She's just a very fantastic person to check out. So it was really great to get on the podcast and talk about the state of being trans and non-binary in Idaho in this moment in time, talking a little bit about the politics and the environment, and just also just how we're getting through this and how folks can show up for our community. I thought it turned out really well. I always feel like I want to balance the struggle because I freaking love being trans and I wouldn't change it for nothing. But I think sometimes we can get so caught up in our challenges that it can sometimes eclipse or overshadow the joy of being trans and non-binary and the gifts that I believe that I get by being a trans person or from being a trans person. Please check it out. We did a podcast episode on Trans Joy Boise that went out earlier this week with Nikson, who made history. They were sworn in to be in the Senate to sit in for another senator while she was on maternity leave, or she was getting ready to have a baby. And so she wasn't going to be available. Darn it. Hey, sorry about that. I got a knock at the door, so I had to take a little break. But anywho, I was talking about Nikson getting voted in as the first trans person sworn into office as a fill-in for a local senator. But basically, we had him on the podcast to talk about the recent indecent exposure HB 270 bill that was passed that criminalized trans bodies as indecent and offensive. There's obviously a lot more to it. Basically, Nikson helps us go through what this law means. There's been a lot of misinformation, especially on social media. And so there's a lot of just questions. We did our best to clarify some of those questions that people might have, as well as also we will connect you with more information through links and that within the podcast so you can learn a little bit more about it. So check out that episode too. It's going to take me a second to get back in my groove here. All right, so here we go again. Take 3 or 4 or 5. We want to let folks know about the trans and non-binary comedy workshop series that we talked about a couple months ago when we had Krystle Moore on, talking about comedy. More on, not moron. Anyway, a great episode we had with her on comedy. And working with her, we decided to put together a workshop series. We're still playing with the title, but you can still apply right now. It's starting June 18th. And we'll go through July 23rd, once a week. There'll be a workshop to help trans and non-binary folks who participate. It's free to go through the process of what it would look like to develop maybe a comedy sketch, or even just go through a process that we're going to learn how to write. We're going to talk a little bit about the healing aspect of humor, as well as getting comfortable in our bodies and in presenting. Just because you do the workshop does not mean that you have to be in the showcase, but we will have a showcase on the 25th and 26th of July. In which folks who maybe went through the workshop, as well as other folks that are trans and non-binary, we're going to do like a showcase, couple of shows at Liquid Laugh Lounge. So you can potentially be in that show, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I think that it's just a group that's going to get together for 6 weeks on a regular basis. It's just going to be a great time to be around trans and non-binary folks. Many of the instructors are trans and non-binary, but not all of them. I think it's going to be really fantastic for us to learn from them and become more comfortable with our transness and talking about it, and maybe even working through some of the difficult teas that we're having with our transness, especially while living here in Idaho. So please check out the links in the description or in the bio or wherever if you're interested in joining that series. Again, it starts June 18th. Apply soon. Preston and I fly out to DC on May 17th, along with Jen Dameron with ACLU. for the Freedom to Be Monument, which is basically a take of the AIDS quilt, but make it trans. Over the year, folks have been creating panels around transness and the title of Freedom to Be. So we are taking a bunch of panels from Idaho, as well as there's panels from all over the country, and they're going to be laying them all out in the Capitol Mall there for everyone to see. So we're really excited to get to go there, represent Idaho, as well as just get to meet other folks from around the country who are participating in doing trans work and just living as trans people. Pacey and I are planning on getting a lot of video and coverage and maybe making some sort of a little mini doc. So just stay tuned. Also follow our socials if you're really wanting to be there with us as we're there next weekend. Again, that's going to be like May 16th, 17th, and 18th. We have our Trans Joy Boise Café that's coming up at the end of the month on May 24th. For those who were there last month, you know what a great time it was. We're going to build on it. We've leaned into the summertime and the weather's getting better. We are doing outside cafe. And so we've really been focusing on the idea of a family picnic, potluck, and a community fair. And you can check out the Trans Joy Boise Café. There's a way you can sign up to bring food or beverage. We're going to have grills this time. We're going to barbecue. We had vendors, different organizations or groups that were either trans or non-binary themselves, or they provide services or want to connect with the trans and non-binary community. Everyone from like Boise Hive to the Boise Trans Collective to the Booth Food Pantry to folks providing spiritual care and massage. If you want to come and vend, you can check out the event on either Facebook or on our website. You can get through it on Instagram. We also extended it an additional hours, so it's from 12 to 4. And we're going to have some entertainment. We're looking on booking some clowns, and we're going to have some sword fighting and maybe some music. This is a family affair. It centers trans and non-binary folks and their family and loved ones. So if you're part of someone's chosen family or friends with a trans non-binary person, everyone's welcome to come and just have a great time. That's at the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. And you can check out the event for more information or our website, transjoyboise.org. I was asked to go to the HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy in North Carolina, May 31st through June 2nd. They've asked me to help out with the spiritual care aspect and altar. I'm still getting engaged with them to figure out what all that entails, but I'm super excited about it. But I'm even more excited about getting to go and learn more about the criminality of HIV around the country, but also what we can do to not only change that, but also hear more and meet more of the folks who've been impacted by the criminalization of HIV. It's touched me personally with people that I love, and I just really am encouraged and excited to get to learn a little bit more because I feel like I'm out of my depth. I'll be covering it a little bit and maybe even do a video or something, so keep an eye out. As you may or may not know, I also put a Drag and Spirituality Summit on every year. We're in our 4th, and it's international. It's going to be taking place in Vancouver, Canada, October 17th through the 19th. We are actively seeking headliners and keynote speakers and panelists, workshop organizers, as well as spiritual care practitioners. So go to the website and apply now. The sooner the better. We also have a special First Sparkle discount for all registration. Registration opened on May the 1st. We also have sliding fee scale. So there's a range of pay what you can to more. The more people can pay, the more space that makes for others who can't. Finances can be a huge challenge for many of us, especially right now. It's virtual and in person. We are working on having satellite viewing parties where other cities will be engaging with us, maybe even providing portions of the conference for us. So we're still working on that interaction, but go to dragonspirituality.com, follow us on our socials to stay up to date for that. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people to participate in the planning. We're looking for sponsors, all that sort of stuff. So check it out to learn more. Our theme this year is all that sparkles, resistance, joy, revolution. Super excited. Check that out if you want to learn more about that. Last thing, I have been working on my Patreon. I've had a Patreon for a few years now. Most of you may or may not know, but back in 2020, 2021, I left my job. I started my transition. I was working in cancer research at UCSF in San Francisco, and I really wanted to focus on my ministry and also my transition. I gave up my home in San Francisco and became nomadic for 2 years. Bounced around the country, seeing people that I hadn't seen in years, spending time with them, spending time with new people all across the United States. In the beginning of my transition, I was traveling, probably something I could talk more about, or you might have even gathered if you've been following me for some time, whether it's a podcast that I was recording or other things. In a lot of ways, I've transitioned right here, which has been quite the journey for me. I just celebrated 4 years in my medical transition on the 16th of April. And Patreon is something that I've had through that time frame to help me cover my work so I can continue to build my ministry. I could travel and do different gigs or work with people. And my Patreon hasn't gone anywhere from a couple $100 a month to a few $100 a month. Right now I'm getting about $250 a month, and I'm really hoping that I could get to $1 a month. That would help me ensure that I can cover my rent that just went up a couple $100 a month. I'm still in the same place, but the lease changed. It'll help me cover my phone and then some of the subscriptions that I have to keep in order to stay connected with folks. And so that'll help keep things running. And then my gig work, I think, supplement everything else. This has been really challenging. I've went without medical care. I've went without access to my HIV meds. I went without gender affirming care and housing at times. And that's okay. But I definitely feel like I'm at a space in my life where I'd like for that not to happen, or for me to be more stable so that I can show up for my mother, who's really ill and has been for a few years. I have a new lover and partner. I want to show up for him. I have a beautiful chosen family that I've cultivated here now that I'm back in Idaho. I want to continue to show up for my niece and my family members and my friends and even my blood family. I'm beginning to really re-engage and hopefully develop relationships with them as well. I'm also just taking better care of myself and having a better relationship with myself. I have my work and my vocation, and all these things are really important to me. And I've often, I think like all of us do, I've been challenged with being present for all those things at once. And I feel like I really have the capacity and the ability to show up for my family, for my friends, for myself, and for my community. And the support of Patreon and the gig work really helps me. The traditional 40-hour plus week job with benefits doesn't really allow me to show up for Transjoy Boise, for Dragon Spirituality, for queer chaplaincy. I'm always challenged with asking, but I'm asking if you are able or in a position, you can join my Patreon. You can do it free, or you can pay anywhere from like $7 to up to $100 and some a month, depending on how engaged you want to get. You can pay once or take out a little bit every month. You can set it up to where you get an email maybe once a week. I don't do a lot of posting, so it's not too crazy. I want to share with folks what their support is allowing me to do and the people that have been impacted and the things that have been able to be done because of their support. So I don't know where else to go with that, but just say, if you're in a position to join my Patreon, free or not, I would encourage you to do that. I'm going to condense and integrate things a little bit more for my own sake. And hopefully at some point in time, if things get going well enough with gigs and Patreon and other support resources, then I can maybe bring on staff and other folks that can focus to expand the expression of a queer chaplain and the work that I get to do from day to day. I have one-on-one spiritual care services. We can talk about spiritual shit or not, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. I have a sliding fee to no fee scale. I can do groups, facilitation, workshop, panels, and I can also officiate weddings, inner outer drag, preach, sermon, teach. All those things are really easy to engage with on aqueerchaplain.org, or through my Calendly. You can schedule time with me and we can do a consult to talk about how we could collaborate. So not necessarily looking for your cash unless you can, but if you have work or gig work or opportunities that I could collaborate with you on, I would really love that. So take care. I love you all. Bye-bye.